Hello. Hello. I don't know how I guess I could monitor it. Check, check, check. Is the music too loud? I don't think my monitoring is affected by the relative gain. Oops. Maybe it is. Well, in any case, I haven't streamed in a very long time, so I apologize for the awkwardness. Alright. Hello. So, welcome to the first Plain Jane Gamedev stream, the show where we code a game in a new programming language and talk about it and see where things go. I did a test recording where we set up this little project, which is going to be a 2D platformer. I didn't want to snap it. You always want to snap. Oh my goodness. I can't win with this thing. I thought the snapping regions would help me out, but in practice, they're just annoying. But so here's our little, we set up this little controller here with just really bad bare bones stuff. So we've got a little rectangle and we can hop around and we can run around on the platforms. The camera follows us, and when we're on the ground, it'll try to center vertically. And we've also got a sprite, and this is how we're loading our little test level. Is we've got this little setup where we can just load this PNG, and that's where we get our tiles from. So this was all done in the test recording, which will be in the playlist, and you can go watch it if you want. But yeah. So first things first, I think we're probably gonna go and unlock the resolution, which I don't think the live code will actually save us there. We'll have to restart. That's fine. But, alright, that's better. So now just whatever size the window is will be the size the game is, so I can just see more of the level if I do this. Alright. So, last time we set up this basic stuff from just like, we had like an empty window with a grid in it and got it up to this point. So today I have a list of things to do. This has been done. We had some compiler bugs last stream that have since been fixed. And today we're going to look at some more platformery things we can do. So here's some of the stuff that I wanted to look at. And so I guess we'll just set about doing some of those things. So I'll actually have to restart the game for this. So we're going to want some data for this stuff. We're going to want some data for these different things that we would like to do. So we want to do Coyote time. So for that, I'm going to want to store the timestamp of the last time we were on the ground. So we'll say timestamp last on ground, and then we'll have another one that's like, actually let's just call it time last on ground. Input buffering. Let's see, we'll want to add a helper for our inputs for that. So our input structure is really simple. We could do something like, be like recently, we could do this. We could say input was input recently pressed, and then we would take runtime pointer, and then we would take a button, and then we would take how long that we want to do, and then we'll get a boolean out of that. And sure, that seems reasonable to me. So what we'll do in here is we'll say, oh, I used the wrong syntax. Alright, so then what we'll do is, let's see, so we'll come in here. I know they're unused, of course they're unused. So we'll come in here and we'll do return false first of all, and then we'll say, so we'll have the, oh actually we need to change more things. So instead of just having the changed, first of all I'm going to make these doubles, and I'm going to say buttons last pressed and buttons last released, which means we're going to have to actually update several things to make that work. So, man, I have not streamed in forever. It's okay, it'll be fine. I am calm and collected. I'm so collected, you have no idea how collected I am. So what we'll do in a case like this, we'll say for recently pressed, we'll get the time. So we'll go to the runtime and we'll get to, what are you complaining about? Am I being an idiot right now? Oh, yes I am. Haha. Runtime doesn't exist. And actually I'll put this helper in process frame for now, because that's where we're going to be using it. And we'll have it here with the other helpers we already had before. We're going to put it down here. So we'll go to the runtime, we'll go to the gem, and we'll go to the input, and we'll go to the buttons last pressed. And in the buttons last pressed, we will get the button. And once we have the button, let's see, we'll do elapsed is going to be, we're going to get that thing, and then we're going to subtract, or no, we're going to get the current time, which I don't think we have a graceful, we don't have that stored in the runtime. We should do that too. This is all over the place. Okay, so in here we're going to have time instead of just always having it, we'll call this time current frame, or we'll just call it time. Time will be fine. So what we'll do then is when we start the frame, we'll do time is going to be, let's see, which, do I not already get it somewhere? Like, am I crazy? Am I nuts? I could swear. Yeah, I do. Oh, right, I get it here. Okay, well that's fine. So really we should do it here, but that's fine. We'll just do it. We'll do it redundantly. It's fine. So we'll set the time at the start of the frame, and then we can use that everywhere else. So we'll get the current time minus that time last pressed, and then we'll return if seconds, we'll do if elapsed is less than or equal to seconds. That should be fine, I think. And why are you complaining? I know it's not used. Okay, that's fine. Sweet. So we'll need that for input buffering, and we'll do the same thing for released. And my screen is dimming because my TV sucks. Okay. And then we want recently released. Well, we'll do the same deal. Okay. So then we need to make these actually work. So we're going to go to our process events where we get our SDL3 events. And we're going to go through, and whenever we, right, so that's just the current state, and then what we'll do, right, and okay, we're doing it lower res, that's fine. So, but actually I think the runtime is here, and it is, so we're just going to use that. That's not as accurate as getting the ticks. Maybe we should get the ticks to have accurate timestamps. So we'll put a shortcut here for that. We'll say get now. And that is going to be an F64. And we're just going to do this thing. We're just going to do this guy. And that will be about as accurate as it can be. And we'll call it get timestamp. How's everybody doing this afternoon? So then in here, instead of doing this, this is no longer valid. We're going to do gem input buttons last pressed equals get timestamp, and this goes away. Buttons last pressed, button move left. Yuppers, yuppers. And the line is too long. Pity. Okay, so now we're going to do the same thing for the rest of these. Okay, move up. And move down. Sorry for the tedium. Action right, which is our jump button, and we don't even have a run button yet. Let's see, I think the rest of this, now we just got to go down here and do the same deal, except instead of last pressed, it'll be last released. Same thing. Move right. Move up. Move down. And action right. Okay, so now our timestamp should work. And we should be okay there. And do we need to add any other state in here before we start the game back up? Let's see, we could do last, or we'll do this cam last ground Y. That'll be something. Because I think, yeah, and those are just F32s, right? Yeah, they are. Okay. So that'll be fine. And then, what else do we want to do? We can do that in a minute. Alright, cool. So, let's start the game back up. There we go. There's our little game, such as it is. And let's see. I need to be able to see things, at least a little bit. Okay. Alright, so we were doing process frame. We've got these helpers now for the inputs. And then down here, so let's start with Coyote time. So Coyote time is this idea that once you go off the edge of a platform, there's like a short window where you're still allowed to jump. Another idea is like jump buffering. So like if you're in the air but you press jump and then you land and it's only been a couple frames, maybe we still let you jump in that case. So So we could try, actually let's do the buffering first. That'll be the simplest thing to try out. And we can add something in here like, I don't know, let's see, mark gameplay values. I'll just call it gameplay. Okay, so under gameplay we'll have a new constant that's called like jump buffer time, which is going to be something like, let's call it 5 frames, which will be something like that. So then over here in process frame, whenever we do press jump, if we press jump, or if we press jump, or reset, or let's do buffered jump, and or we buffered the jump, and to buffer the jump we'll say pressed recently, or sorry, input recently pressed, and it'll be button action right, and then it'll be config, what the heck did I call it? Whoops. Okay. Jump buffer time. Honestly, we don't really need this, but okay. So we got a warning there. Yeah, we haven't used that, but the rest of it should be there. So now I think that appears to work. Probably want to make the window shorter because it feels really weird. Neat. It also seems to like, oh, I see. Why does it do like a extra jump? Okay. A mistake has been made. So actually, let's just do the recently pressed, maybe? Actually, we would need to know if we consumed the press yet or not, if that makes sense. So like, if the button was pressed and we already used it, then we don't want to use it again. But if it was pressed and we haven't used it, then we could use it to jump, if that makes any sense to folks at home. So let's go to our runtime and let's think about how we want to do that. Let's say we'll have to restart the game again since we're changing what the struct is shaped like here. Say buttons unconsumed press. Unconsumed release. So do something like that. And then the way that will change things is we'll need to account for that on our input, and then we'll also need to make like some shortcuts for that too. So let's say input consume press button, and then so then what we'll do is we'll say, we'll check if we were pressed. Check the button, and then we'll say we'll clear the flag, and then we'll do the same for release. Okay. What? Am I silly? Buttons unconsumed release. Yeah. Oh, I misspelled it. Okay. Okay. Sweet. Alright, so there's that and there's that. So what we'll do is we'll say if input recently pressed, if the button was recently pressed, and oh, that's such a long thing. But anyway, so if it was recently pressed, and we can if we can consume the press, and we've got to be on the ground, then we will do the jump. And we're gonna log it. We're gonna say jumped. And now we need to restart the game because we've changed our runtime state. Oh, we also need to set those in the what did I do wrong? Am I silly right now? Oh right, unconsumed, and that is also still misspelled. Release. Okay. Alright. So I think that will do what we want. Alright, it's button. Okay. So let's see. There's that. Now, I don't think this will work yet because we didn't actually fix the input. But so if I launch and I load my level, it should not work. Right? These still work because they're just, is it held down or not? But the jumping no longer works. So now I have to go fix that. So on each of these, which I don't know, what you'd want here is a helper that does this thing for each thing, right? Unconsumed press for like the specified one. Which we could also like, I don't know, you could do something weird in there, like have a counter of unconsumed presses, but I think you probably don't want to do that. I can't think of what you would use it for offhand. Okay, so there's that. And then, oh wait a second, and then we need to close that. We're not using that. Okay. Move left. Unconsumed release. Spelled correctly this time. Move right. Move up. Riveting stuff, I know. But I have to stream these parts so that later, when there's really cool stuff going on, people can go back and watch this and say, wow. Alright, so there's that. And now, through the magic of 50 millisecond live coding, we can jump. And I think we should be able to buffer a jump. If I'm fast enough. Or not. Haha! That feels like I'm buffering successfully. And it's, I don't know, it's cool because it is a really short window, but it's like, wow, look at you, you're so cool. You got the frame perfect jump. It is a little bit tight though, it's easy to miss. But we can go and tweak that. So let's see, let's say it was like, I don't know, let's say it was like a full like quarter of a second or something absurd. Now I don't think that will reload because this module is not, or well, it's marked live code, but where it's a transitive import, I don't think it will actually do right now. Let's see. No, it will not. And we can test that by printing out the thing. We can say buffer time config jump buffer time. Oh, what are you on about? Right. Alright, oh, I forgot to put the new line, first of all. Oh no, it is 25. I'm just really bad, I guess. Am I stupid? Maybe I'm stupid. Okay, so I'm glad that that works. I thought I was gonna have to eat some crow. Let's make it just like a full second then, I guess, and see what happens. That makes me wonder if it's something about like, which it could be, like I could still have like a bug in there with like short circuiting on ifs or something like this, right? But okay, it is 1 whole second, meaning I should definitely be jumping there. Okay, no, it is 1 second. That's so weird, that feels so unnatural. Okay. So we're in good shape, and you can super duper buffer a jump. It feels sometimes though like it gets kind of eaten, because here I'm on the ground, right? It should be consuming it, but it's not. See that? So like that timing feels reasonable. Rather than spam this, let's just put it down here in our jumped thing so that we can easily see it. Jumped. Okay. So I can queue them up, and I can definitely feel that I'm queuing it up. But sometimes it's like it fires but nothing happens. Okay. See? It's like printing, but I'm not actually jumping. Which is weird. Why is that not working then? Oh, because our gravity's eating it. So maybe it should be equals -700 instead, but that means you'll always jump exactly the same height. But so what was happening is like we were accelerating down fast enough that whenever we pressed the jump button, it didn't actually make a difference. Wow, that's so weird, because now with when you can like walk off, press jump, and then because it's a whole second, you really, wow, that's weird. Okay, let's put it back at like 5 frames and see if that feels good now that we fixed the actual problem. Okay, yep. That honestly even feels a little too long still, maybe. Yeah, it's too long. Let's make it more like 1 frame or 2 frames. We'll try 2 frames. That's 2 frames. That feels pretty good. It's like you're not likely to do that by accident, but it feels nice to pull off. And 2 frames is pretty forgiving. That's just like, hey, we're pretending this is 30 frames a second and you missed 1 frame. But the pogo feels really good. We could make it 1 frame instead, but it's really not bad. Okay, also I'm mixing my ands. I'm C++ brained over here. Okay, So that's that. I'm going to take a sip of water. And let's see. So on our list of things to do, we tried input buffering, so that's cool. What else shall we do? Let's see. We could do Coyote time next. So anytime the player is on the ground and we didn't jump, so if we didn't jump, actually we're going to keep this nice and flat. Did we jump? And then, if not, did we jump? Track grounded time. Then we'll do time last on ground is going to be so like there's two different things here, and you could handle it different ways. So you can either always get the latest timestamp available to you, or you can have like a time for the frame, and depending on which one you want in a situation kind of depends. So we could eventually have it so that we store the frame time, like it would be like RT gem frame time that we store, and then we could also have a helper to get the current time with as much accuracy as possible, because maybe with your inputs you want to have the most accuracy possible, but then for certain events that happen in game you want them to happen on a specific frame, or you want to be able to count frames easily and things like this. And like we do have a fixed time step at 60 Hertz, like regardless of the VSync, which is 100 Hertz on my monitor. The game logic is going at 60 frames a second, so like we could have timers in game that are like 30 frames long or something like this, and ignore this whole time thing altogether. We could also have something like RT gem frames, or like RT gem ticks that would just be a large integer that you could use instead. But anyway, so track grounded time, and so then here we want to do Coyote time. So if is on ground, and so then we'd have bool is Wiley. I can't do while e, so if is Wiley, we'll say it's going to be if the time last on ground, we'll call this air timer, or we'll call it time in air equals, and that'll be, hang on. First of all, let's do this. And then we'll say if not is on ground, so jump logic. So if not is on ground, time in air is going to be the time minus time last on ground in terms of frames. But like I say, we could do like an SDL get tick situation here if we wanted it to be more accurate to real like clock time. But we'll try this for now and see how it goes. With a fast-paced platformer, I imagine we're going to end up wanting to do clock time, but if you want things to be really stable and predictable, maybe you want the frame times instead. And maybe you just want to count frames and do as much integer math as possible. But anywho's, so we've got the time in the air, and then what we'll do is we'll say bool is Coyote is going to be time in air is not 0, and time in air is less than config Coyote time, which does not exist yet. So we're going to go create that real quick. And we'll say that the Coyote time, let's make it like 2 whole seconds to test it. And then we'll say if we're on the ground or we are a coyote, then we can jump. And you could do stuff here like differentiate it, like you could have your jump be less powerful if you were in coyote time or something like that. So now if I walk off this cliff, I can still jump, right? So I can go whoop. There's a badge, and so like lots of platformers have this idea. There's a badge in Mario Wonder that gives you really extreme coyote time. Oops. That gives you really extreme coyote time like this. And it's kind of fun. I could imagine us having a power-up that includes that as one of the abilities it gives you. We already have some fun power-ups planned for this game. But so you'll start falling immediately, but then you can kind of like do this like Super Smash Brothers like goofy recovery, which is kind of fun. Just like that. But for now, let's go make our value a little bit smaller and see how that feels. So let's make it like, I don't know, 1/4 of a second and see how it's different. So now I can actually, did we actually get the, I don't think we actually reloaded. Or did we? Let's print out the air time, because that will make it obvious. We'll say hang time. It's going to be time in air, and yeah, I think that's fine. Whoop. Oh, I always forget. This is what happens when you mix like fancy when you mix like fancy modern things with old school things, you forget where you're at and what you're doing, and you make all kinds of silly mistakes. So okay, we can see that our hang time is never actually counting up very high, even when we're in the air for a long time. So we've made a mistake somewhere. Unless it's to do, it could be a bug in the formatting. That is a very real possibility. No, it's just messed up. Okay. So put our formatting back, dang it. And go ahead and make it 4 digits. But what gives? If not, oh my goodness, and is on ground. It might actually be important that we're on the ground. That's better. Okay, that's a little better. So now we have like a little bit of coyote time, but not too much. It's still pretty forgiving though, honestly. And I don't know, it affects a lot of things about your game, which is why it's nice that we can come in here and do this, and I can say now it's 1/8 of a second, and now I can go try it. So that's still possible. Whoop. But it's a lot less than it was. I can just, if my foot is just barely off the edge, I can do it. Whoop. 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 Missed. Missed again. I didn't even mean to miss that time. And it just, you know, in games like this, sometimes you're not quite sure, which like, you want to make your character's feet and stuff work such that you can tell when you're about to fall and be a little bit pixel perfect if you want. But having this sort of thing and tweaking it and trying to make it feel nice is really important. And it can just kind of bridge that little bit of extra gap. And like one of the plans I have for this game, I don't want to leave the game design entirely up to the player per se, but I will probably put in a bunch of options, just like a big long list of options, so that like whatever level of motor control you have, hopefully you can have a good time and still get a challenge from the game that's like appropriate for wherever you're at, meaning I'll probably let you tweak things like the Coyote time if you want, and maybe even tweak the like game's tick speed or something. Meaning, if I let you tweak the game's tick speed, then we're probably gonna want to like have the renderer interpolate where things draw so that it still looks smooth and not choppy. But I don't know. I'll have to think more about that. But so this is an 1/8 of a second Coyote time, and I think it feels pretty good. It feels pretty natural because I can definitely wait for my heel to fall off and then shoot back up there. But it's a little more precise than it was before, and I'm missing it a lot. So. Whoop, not so terrible. Instead of an 1/8, we could just make this like an even 15 or something to make it a little bit more forgiving, right? But we got different options. How am I missing it so much? Oh my goodness. I'm just bad at the game. That's the reality, is that I'm bad at the game. So you can get a little extra boost there. Sorry for going quiet, I was having fun. Okay, so we got Coyote time. Not so bad. Like, I don't know, a lot of stuff is really intimidating to people, and then in practice, it's like a couple lines of code, right? And like over time, it'll probably get more complicated as the game grows, but the core principle, the core idea of the thing is not that crazy. And I don't know, I think demystifying things is a good thing to do in general. Which is part of why I wanted to do these streams at all. Alright, so let's see. The camera stutter when running. So this is something I noticed where if I was running along like this, you can see how the camera, there's kind of like, it looks like our little character is kind of ebbing a little bit back and forth sometimes, and I think that's because our little rectangle is rounding its coordinate at the end of every frame so that it's on an even pixel, which will matter more when there's pixel art. But the camera does not do that. The camera is on smooth floats, I believe. The problem with that is you get kind of this weird like aliasing thing happening, and I've solved this different ways in different games. So like in one version of my game WYSIWAG, the game is scaled up 5 times, so the camera moves on 1/5 of pixels, and that was a good solution. But you end up in weird situations, like you have a moving platform that the player is standing on, and then the camera is following the player, and then the relative movement speeds of those different things, and whether they're on partial pixels or not, you can get into these really weird, ugly flickering situations, and they're just a huge pain to fix. But I've done it a few times, so hopefully it won't be so bad on this game. We could go in here and get the camera stuff, and we could try messing with it to see how it feels. There's the camera Y, there's camera X. We could try just like rounding it the way we do with the player. This is a fairly fast-paced game, so maybe in this case it'll just work, but I don't know. And later I would definitely want like a vec2 round or something, but I haven't written it because I haven't written a vector library yet for this game or the language in general. I'm not sure yet if I want to like have a vector library that's not really a library. Like I could make vectors like a fundamental type as if it's a shader language, and that has some nice benefits. At the same time, I could just leave it up to the individual code base, or I could include like a vector library as part of the standard library. I have not decided yet. Right now, we're just doing things bespoke for this current game. So there's the camera X, and there's the camera Y, and we'll save, and we'll see if that feels bad or good. I imagine it might feel kind of choppy. Yeah, that really gives you that pixel art game problem where it's like the camera slows to a stop in this really ugly way. And actually, if you notice, it makes the disconnect with our character even worse. I don't care for that. Fantastic. Okay, so let's get rid of that and put things back the way they were. How do we want to do this? And actually, if I were to go in the config and I were to lock the resolution, I'll need to restart the game, but if I go in here, now that the resolution is locked, it'll probably be even more noticeable. Yeah, you can really see the, like, it feels kind of like a stutter there. Not great. Which we could also do something like not have the camera lag behind the player at all. Like the camera could just track the player very specifically. And I'll show you the difference if we were to do that. Instead of doing this lerp situation, it would just, which we could still lerp the Y, but we could just make the X like a, we could just lerp it directly to the target. And I'll show you how that looks. In a platformer, you generally want the ability to like have your player, so see now the stutter is gone, but the camera is like totally locked in on our player there. And I don't know, that has positives and negatives. For some games, you'd want that really close follow, right? Like for example, not to keep bringing up WYSIWYG, but it's a top-down like adventure game, and I do lock the camera really tightly in most scenarios, especially combat. But in a game like this, the character's going to be running around and bouncing around a lot. And potentially, like, let's say there were a bunch of bouncy things that were knocking me around, you wouldn't want the camera to necessarily follow totally directly, or it could be nauseating or something. You just kind of want to be aware of it. So now we're still lerping on the Y, right? But then on the X, we're just like totally locked. I don't completely hate this. I think in practice it might get a little bit confusing. I really like the camera in Super Mario World. I should probably study it and pick it apart a little before the next stream. Let's write that down. Let's go down here. Before the stream, pick apart the Super Mario World Mario Advance camera version camera, because I like it a lot. The Super Mario Advance Super Mario 2 camera in comparison is pretty bad and I don't like it. So anyway, let's put the camera back zoomed out. Alright, this one might be more of a long-term thing to try to fix. Although really, just having the X locked is not the worst. Like, it's really not the worst. Maybe we'll just leave the X locked for now. But I'll make a note about it. No smoothing on X, hard snap. Not the final thing we want. Note, looked really, really bad. Made the aliasing worse. Also, I haven't really thought about this much, but I like light color themes depending on ambient lighting, and I worry that other people are going to be like, what is wrong with you? Please use a dark color scheme. So if you would like me to switch to a dark color scheme, let me know. I can do that. That's a thing I can do. Okay, this is going to be tabled until I think more about it. Camera follow in the air. So currently the way it works is the camera only moves on Y when you're on the ground. So if you if I jump over and over like this, you can see it's starting to catch up with me, and then it stops as soon as I'm off the ground. So one of the things I wanted to do was make it so that the camera would be targeting the last ground you were on Y, if that makes sense. I think that'll feel better. So what we'll do here, the cam target Y, instead of being the player position, it's going to be the last ground Y, and we're never setting that, looks like, so let's go fix that problem. Process frame, so is on ground, da 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 da. And actually we want to do it, do we want to do it even if we jumped? We'll do it if we didn't jump and then see how that feels. Equals, that'll be fine, right? Okay, so now it should, oh right, we didn't actually finish what we started. Where is, right, so we'll get rid of this is on ground thing, and we'll just always do it. Target last known ground instead of only moving when grounded. So we'll do that. And so now, even if we're in the air, you can see the camera will start moving toward the ground, wherever the last, like, oh, but not if we do a frame perfect jump. So in theory, that means if I just keep on, so if I buffer some jumps, yeah, it'll never move. See? And then when I land, it will. Okay, that's maybe not ideal. So let's scroll up and we'll fix that. So we'll do track ground for camera. And then here we'll move this up here, and if we didn't jump, then we'll do this. Okay, so now even if we do like a frame perfect jump, well, if I could pull it off, yeah, it'll still move to wherever we last landed, which is pretty cool. That's pretty nice. It feels like the camera's keeping up with me because it's totally locked on X, but then on Y it has some room to like play. And since it centers where you last landed, it kind of like makes it, well, it kind of makes it easier to tell where you are in relation to other things. I think that feels pretty good, honestly. I just had a terrified thought. If somebody who's made a really good platformer ever comes to my stream, they're just going to be thinking about all the things I say that are wrong. But hey, I haven't actually made a platformer in like, okay, I haven't made a 2D platformer in like 10 plus years, so forgive me. I love 2D platformers. I love playing them. I've been afraid to make one because, I don't know, for a while people were just like super dismissive, and then I guess enough really good indie platformers like Super Meat Boy and Celeste came out that people shut up. So does Hollow Knight count? It half counts, I would argue. It is part 2D platformer. But it would be weird to characterize it that way, even though it has so much platforming. It's like a Kaizo experience, at least for me, because I'm not very good at it. Crap. Speaking of which. Okay, so we did the camera follow in the air a little bit better. Okay, we did this. Air steering versus ground steering. Oh man, the dry mouth is setting in. Hang on. Alright, so on the ground we have like a certain amount of influence, and there's like, you know, there's some like, it's not just setting the velocity, there's like some acceleration there, right? Although it's not amazing. So we could then, what we can do is we can change it when you're in the air. So currently in the air, it's exactly the same as it is on the ground. And I should have brought my GBA in here so I could play Mario World or something and like take notes or like compare how things feel, because I don't know, it's very useful to cheat that way, like to play a game that you know feels really good and compare it to yours and be like, okay, I don't necessarily just want to do exactly what they did here, like frame perfectly the same or something, but just the principle of the thing. But let's see, so we could either give you more air steering or less. Let's see, move left. Okay, so yeah, so this is our horizontal steering right now. This one line of code, horizontal steering. So we could, let's move this up, and let's move this up. Alright, so this is our friction on the ground. Actually, player damping air is going to be like way lower. Let's do that as well. So like currently, when we're on the ground just like walking, and then we let go, we go like that. But then in the air, it's the same. So if I like let off the left button, it's the same friction in the air, which is not normal at all. You would want it to be either like less or none, basically. So we'll try doing it a third as strong. We'll do that first. So we'll say if is on ground, we'll apply the regular damping. Else, if we're not on the ground, we'll do the air damping. So now, yeah, that's much better. Yeah, so now if I jump and then let go of the key, I'm still moving pretty far. But my steering is the same, so I can still do this type of thing. Right. Whoop. So that's one thing. So there's air damping. And then and this stuff could be in the config file, it just isn't right now. I'll probably put it there later, because I try to keep things a little bit organized. Just like every tweakable game designy thing belongs in the same bucket is how my brain works. Okay, so there's that, and then we want to do the same thing for steering. So currently we don't really have a specific steering value, so let's put one in here. So let's call this player steering. Will be this 10 here. And then we'll have player steering air, which is going to be, let's say, half as much. So we'll say if is on ground, we'll do this, else we'll do that. Ooh, that's so much harder to control. You do get the steering, but it's like, oh, that feels bad. Oh, that feels rough. And you can kind of do the Mario 1 thing though. You can kind of do it where you like, you're on like a little, and you like do, okay, I need a little bit more, and then I can do it. Okay, let's see, hang on. You go like, whoop, and then you go, wah. Wait. You go like that, and then that you like build up momentum magically, and then when you land, you can jump way farther to the right than if you had just started. We don't have a system like that though, so can't exactly do it. I wonder how that works. We've got to figure that out too. Hey, okay, that was not easy to do, but that felt really good. That was pretty cool. That felt very satisfying. There's no max speed right now, can you tell? There's just the damping fighting you. Okay, that was pretty fun. So we got the steering difference, and like we could make it, you know, higher or lower. It's like this could be 12 and this could be 8. Now we've got really harsh control on the ground, and then in the air we've got a little bit more than we had before. And for those of you who have not seen the test recording, which is all of you, the reason that our noggin and stuff can just like pass through these if we're on the side is because actually we're just checking a magic pixel on the center line of the box right now. I haven't done the real thing yet. I could do that today. It's on my list. Oh, come on. Come on. Yes. Oh no. I messed it all up changing the values. Okay. Why did I close the game? I just habitually hit the key. Okay. I meant to hit the R key and instead I hit the escape key. Not good. Or I might have hit Command W, I'm not even sure. Alright. Anyway. I should stop playing. I will play a crappy game for a long time, so that's not really much of an indication, but I do think it's good if you have fun when you're playtesting something. Okay, what else? Finish collision detection. Well, that would sure be a good idea. It's currently very rudimentary. Is tile solid at pixel? And okay, that is fair for checking on the ground, but these actual collisions are not amazing. So as you can see, we only do one magic pixel per position that we're trying to go to. So really, okay. We need to check the entire edge, not just the one pixel. So we're currently checking just with the players, like their mid, like we're checking with their Y. So like in this case, when we're moving on X, we're just checking at the feet. And then here we're checking the head or the foot. Neither of which are amazing. So let's see. So instead of doing this, we actually need to do a loop is the difference. So we need to say, and so now if I save, I'll fall through the, actually no I won't, I'll be able to walk through walls horizontally but not vertically. So let's see. So we'll do I32 top tile. We'll call this tile min y is going to be the check edge is on X, right? Yes, it is. Okay. So that'll be the Y that we have minus the player height, which is 40. Yes, that's a magic number. I'm very sorry. So that's the actual pixel coordinate, and then we need to take that and divide it by the tile size, which do I have that written somewhere? I do. Okay, at least there's that. So that'll be the first tile we check, and then we'll get the tile max y, which is going to be the same deal, except it's just the position, which is at the bottom center of the player. And although actually you'd want to add a half tile here, wouldn't you? You would. And that needs to be here, and now we're back to having this. Okay. So the reason we're doing that is we're just going to go one extra. Do we need to go one extra? Yes, we do. I think. Okay. Actually, okay, the player is never going to be... We're not doing mega mushrooms in this game, I assume. So we actually never need to check if the player is like 20 tiles tall or something. Which, as far as that goes, instead of looping over the tiles, we could just check the... Like, as long as the player is never too tall, we could just kind of check the foot and the head and skip. We don't really need to get that serious. We could do it properly though. I should have pulled up the collision system for WYSIWAG so I could basically just copy paste and not have to think about this. But I didn't do that. And when I say copy paste, I mean rewrite the C code in Jane, but we could try this. Why not? I'm just like second guessing if I should bother. We don't need to do that because it'll still be, as long as we include that tile, then it'll be fine. For us, this will be tile Y in tile min Y tile max. That might not be an allowed language construction because usually I have an integer on one side. I don't know if I've ever tested this, so it might break. We'll find out. And we're basically going to do this same deal from before, but inside this loop. So check edge, and then it'll be the tile Y times. So we're only checking like once per... What's the issue? Oh, right. So we're only checking once per tile instead of doing something insane like check every pixel of the player or something like that. We just want to check on each tile. And if this is a game with like half tiles or something, like a Zelda game, we would have to account for that in here. And so in games like WYSIWAG, their collision systems have to account for that. And there's a bunch of bit flags and other cute stuff in that game for that. But so let's go ahead and save that and just see. Okay, not quite. That is not normal. What is going on? That's not normal at all. I've made a mistake someplace. What is the problem? So this is an int, so this will be the first tile that we overlap at all. And this should be, although not necessarily, it should be like a seal or something. Maybe we should do a seal here. That probably isn't going to do what I want. No, it is not. Okay, that is so jank. That is not what we want whatsoever. Oh wait, am I not? No, I am. Okay. brain is mush. Something else we can do is add like an isSolid@tile helper up here. Where we basically do the exact same thing, but we change the math. So if there are tiles, then we don't need to do this part. These are the tile X and tile Y, and they would be I32s, although we could just let it be F32s. So then we would already have these. So we check if it was out of bounds, and then we check the thing, and that's all. And we could even change this into a call of that if we wanted. Okay, so then here is solid@tile, and this would be tile X is going to be the check edge. Actually, duh, it's because we need to do the addition before the cast. That's what it is, but I'll do that in a sec. It's going to be the check edge divided by config tile width. My monitor is dimming again. Please quit that. Okay. Not title, tile X. Okay. So that'll be tile X, and then it'll be tile Y. That's a little bit easier. And then for this, instead of that, we need to do this, or well, why am I so stupid at math today? Jesus, this is embarrassing. It's like we're inching ahead. We're inching by fractions, and we should not be. We're getting a seal here, which I feel like ought to be enough. It's also, is it the check edge that's wrong? Because this was totally fine. Like this guy here, solid. Solid as a rock. The X we're checking is totally the same. Right? Right? What am I screwing up there? Wait. Oh, because we're not breaking. Oh my god. Ay. Okay, give me a second. I think I have. Do I have labeled breaks? I don't have break. I remember that I didn't do break yet. I would like to do break. That's for sure. But I have not yet. I don't think I have break. So we're gonna do this. Hit a wall on X. And we'll say hit a wall on X is true. If hit a wall on X, break again. What you'd really like to do there is have like break and then give this loop a name, or say break to break out of 2 loops, but I'm writing that down. That's in my to-do list right now. Add break. Okay. So it's useful to have this information though, so it's fine. And we'll do, so let's see if that's actually fixed, and if it's not, I'll be embarrassed. Okay, it is. Yay! I can do basic arithmetic. Are you proud of me? Alright, so now our tidy, simple thing goes away. And now we have this much bigger thing, which is much more correct in theory. And I immediately go through a thing, because no it isn't. So in theory, I should not be able to do this any longer. And yet, I am. So a mistake has been made. Making mistakes on stream in front of you. I could add visualization for this. That's a thing that we could think about doing. Oh wait, we have a compile error. Well, that's useful to think about. That would be, yep. No wonder things aren't any different. Ha ha ha. Okay, my math is correct. Everybody's wrong but me. Sheesh. Okay. I had a stray paren the whole time, and now we have actual collision that actually works. I can no longer horizontally go through this, right? I can't go through this little gap anymore. Nice. So now we'll do the same thing on Y. Did we hit a wall on Y is going to be false. And then in here, we're going to do the same sort of number again. So we've got our check edge here. Okay, I want that to fit. All right. So then we're going to say tile min x. It's going to be, I'm copying the wrong thing. Cast. That's going to be the x position minus 20, which is the, or well, sorry, minus 10, because it's the half width. And that'll be divided by the width. And then we'll have tile max x, which is going to be plus 10. Right? Wait. No. Okay. And so then we'll say tile y. Is that? That's the check edge, right? Yeah. Check edge divided by the tile height. And then we'll go through these. From min to max inclusive. And then we'll bring this in here. Hit a wall on y is going to go to true, and then if it was true, we're going to break. And this is not done yet. Solid at tile. I should probably name this, actually. And then what is it? It's the tile x, tile y. Whoop, we messed up. Yeah, that's gross. Hey, what's up? How's it going, Data Goblin? It's really cute that your channel's called Watch a Goblin. You're here just in time to see me mess up my collision. Everything is made of goo, see? Thanks for dropping by. How are you doing? Uh-oh. Well, that's a bummer. Molasses World. I feel like there should be like gross, like slimy sounds happening right now. And my monitor is going dim again. Dang it. Okay. Doo-doo. Boo-doo-doo-doo. What the heck? Did I typo somewhere? I guess I did. But when is the question? Uh-oh. It is not unused. You lawyer. Gelatinous cube platforming. Yeah, I agree. I think it would be really fun to have like an area where there's like the goo. Like big floating cubes of honey or something, or like it could be fun. Or like, I don't know. Because like you could have more fun with goo than quicksand probably. Just like a big gelatinous thing. I'm doing okay. Things are weird and the world is crazy and it's easy to get disheartened, but I'm doing alright, all things considered. How have you been? Or you just said you're good. I'm glad you're good. Alright. Well, we have made a big mistake somewhere. A big typo somewhere. This whole loop is fine. What? Yeah, da 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 da. What is the freaking problem, bud? This is not a helpful error message. There is no foe. What are you talking about right now? So if I... hang on. Is there an error or did it actually rebuild? My hang time is infinite. Where's my hang time print? Because it's where I'm getting stuck. So let me just... whoop. That's gone. Yeah, we are allegedly still rebuilding. I think my LSP just died. For some reason. And I can't reload the window, because if I reload the window, I have to stop the game. I mean, maybe that's okay. I don't know. Whoop. Whoop. Let's restart the game just in case. I don't think that should make a difference, but... no, I'm still in Goop World. Sweet. What's this language? So this language is called Jane, actually. It is a work in progress. Very in progress, and will be in progress for a long time. I like C a lot, but not enough, it turns out. And nowadays, actually I shouldn't rant about this on the stream. I should write a long form article at some point. I am frustrated with various projects, including LLVM. Yes, somewhat shockingly. And it is a mess as a result. Ooh. I need to get some like putty or something. It is my stream, but it's like I feel like I could articulate myself better if I took time and tried to say things well, as opposed to just ranting on stream of like, I saw this thing and it made me mad, and I was like overreacting to that. I've been very frustrated with various things for a long time. Is the short answer for why this language is being made. But let's see. Where's the part where I'm being an idiot? And why is my LSP just like... okay, let me reload this window real quick. Okay, that's better. And there's the game back. Okay, and we're still in Goop World. Wonderful. I just made this mistake doing the X collision. as well, which is quite funny. I'm probably just getting my coordinates wrong somewhere, so let's read through. So for each pixel in the y delta, the edge is going to be the foot, which is our position, minus 20, because it's our half height, and then right, because this would put us on either the top of the head or the bottom of the foot. It would either put us back at the foot or it would put us at the top of the head. Right, which is what we wanted. It was working before is the bad thing. I was trying to make it more correct, not less. So the minimum x is going to be, so that's the check edge on y, and then the minimum x is the x position minus half of the width divided by the tile width, and then the max x, wait a second. I think I should have been doing that seal there, maybe? That's probably what it is. And the check edge, oh, this should also be sealed. Whoopsie. Nope, still not helping me out here. In fact, the goop is thinner. Yeah, hopefully. Hopefully having spite as a driving force will work out eventually. It's not the only driving force, like joy is also a big driving force. But there's definitely some spite in there. Can't lie about that. Okay, at this point I'm tempted to just put the old loop back and then redo this to find where I made the mistake. Yeah, that would make sense. I'm like, am I not breaking at the correct time? No, I'm not. These are both inside the same loop. Shazam! Fixed. So far, all of my major problems on this stream have been typos, or just like stupid syntax things where I wasn't paying enough attention. I put the curly brace in the wrong place, or I put the line in the wrong curly brace, or etc. But it's been going pretty well. On the whole, I was breaking the wrong loop. Thank goodness that's finally fixed. Okay, so we have finished. Instead of one magic pixel, we have now done the whole axis, the whole tiles on each side. So we can no longer squeeze in this gap with our head in the ceiling. We also, I feel like we should go ahead and add a run button, because what good is a platformer game with no run button? I mean, come on. It really is, yeah. That's the thing, is that I don't usually make the big mistakes. I make the tiny mistakes that waste a lot of time. And then the big things are just don't do something silly to start with, usually. Especially with modern computers, it's like you can't really go wrong unless you go really, 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 really wrong. Alright, let's do ducking. Ducking seems fun. So we're gonna make this work in the Super Mario World way, I suppose. Will I be partaking in Game Boy Jam? That is a good question. I don't know yet. I want to say no. Like I've done some jams lately. I've done 2 jams this year, and they've both been a lot of work and were really exhausting, and just like stacked up with everything else in life, it's been a bit much. That's entirely my fault for like doing one jam like full time for 10 days and then doing another one for 3 days, just like all day, and like that's all on me, you know? But I do like Game Boy Jam a lot. Game Boy Jam is very fun. Ooh, yeah, the duck slide. That is fun. But yeah, I don't know if I'll do Game Boy Jam or not. Do you think you're gonna participate? Ba-da-ba, ba-ba, ba-da-bum, bum, bum, ba-dum, bum, bum, bum. We're just gonna do this a lazy way. If the down button is held at all, we're gonna say that you are trying to duck. And so then we're gonna do, let's just go ahead and do this. We'll say player width is gonna be 20. Player height is gonna be if is ducking. It's normally 40, right? So we'll call it like 20. That seems fair. I think I have to put a semicolon there still, which is stupid, but that's okay. Yeah, I can't get away with it without it. Okay. Need to fix that too. But it's so you can put expressions in here. Ba-ba-da-da. Ba-ba-da-da. Ba-da-da-da. Da-da. Ba-dum, ba-dum. Okay, this is gonna have to get more verbose. Oop. Okay, and so here what we're gonna do is we're gonna have, hang on. Actually, let's just call this player w and player h. Yeah, Game Boy Jam is a lot of fun, and I love the aesthetic of the Game Boy, as you know. It is very tempting. It's usually in like August or September or something, right? Or is it coming up soon? Like, how long do I have to panic about it? It's really the question. Is Jane open source? So not yet. I think that, so there are other languages that I have looked at that I decided not to use entirely because they were not open source, right? And that's because I feel like if you're going to use a programming language, you should have the ability and authority to have personal control over it if you need or want that. Like, I would not want to spend the rest of my career working in some programming language over which I had no ability to take control or to even know how the compiler is written, for example. So it's not really that it's a secret language, it's that it's not ready for public consumption. September 11th, okay, so that I've got some time to decide if I want to participate. That's cool. So Jane, if Jane is ever released publicly at all, it will be released open source. I don't know if or when I will release it publicly, just because it's mostly made for me, and like it as soon as you release something that changes the dynamic of it, suddenly you owe the people who use your stuff. You don't want to waste their time, you don't want to disrespect them as programmers, you want to give them something that's really high quality, and also it changes the incentive because like other people using your thing, suddenly you're kind of supporting them as customers, even if the thing is free or open source, because you want the thing to be good for them, and so suddenly the priorities shift, and it's more about what the other people need from the language than what you necessarily want it to be. So I would, when the language is more mature, I think I would like other people to get to use it if I really think it's good, but at this stage it's young enough and incomplete enough that I'm the only user, and I think that's a good thing for everyone else. Right? Like, I've used some languages that were kind of half-baked and spent a lot of time using them, and that was frustrating for me in the end, and I don't want to put anyone else in that position. That's what I would say. So we're also going to have player half width, which is going to be the player width divided by 2, if you can believe it. We'll have the half height, which is going to be the player height divided by 2, which is, I know, crazy, totally crazy stuff, right? Yeah, and like I'm very happy to like try to help somebody with a problem, but I wouldn't want it to be a thing where it's like, hey, my language is out, and now it's like CURL, where it's like giant companies, or like FFmpeg, where like these huge corporations are like, oh my god, you need to fix your thing, and it's like, why don't you fund development at all, you big jerk? I wouldn't want to put myself in a position like that. And I also wouldn't want to ship something to other people that was not the very best it could be, which is maybe naive, but that's how I feel. Like I've shipped a lot of things over the years that weren't exactly up to my standards, you know? And I don't really want to do that again. Okay, so this will be the player height, and this will be the player half width. And man, these expressions are getting long. We no longer need that explainer comment though. So that's the check edge, and oh dear, right, these, I mean I could cast it there. I'll just cast it here. Alright, and then where are my other magic numbers in here? So this will be the half height, and that will be the half height, which also needs a cast. Because it's a floating point number. And this is a very long expression, but that's okay. Yeah, I don't know. I think with some things, it kind of depends on the potential cost to the person who tries your thing, right? Like if I ship a game that's not finished, like a demo, and people play it and don't have fun, that's a pretty small cost, and they understood going into it what it was. Like if I make a jam game that isn't Game of the Year, that's fine, right? If I make a programming language and release it, I feel like that is making, there's kind of some claims implicit in that about how finished it is, and so I would not want to do it prematurely. It's also like, I don't know, like I would only want to do it if it was really ready for it. That said, this game with its humble beginnings is, I would like to take this project from the empty window it was last week to like an actual finished professional quality game. There's actually a lot of like design notes and concept art and stuff that I've been making with other people behind the scenes for what this game is supposed to become. So I think longer term, like my goal is kind of, if I can make some professional quality work with Jane, then maybe at the point that those things are done, Jane is ready for like a closed beta or something. Where if somebody else really does want to use it, and if they have preferences like mine, and they're like, hey, this does everything I want that C doesn't do without adding a bunch of weird stuff, or like whatever their opinion is, maybe at that point there could be some other users, right? But for now it is closed source and totally private. So maybe it's kind of silly to be doing streams in it, but I missed streaming. I missed streaming a lot, actually. So as nervous as I am being here on stream for the first time in forever, I'm very happy. And I would like to stream all kinds of stuff, not just programming platformer physics, but like, hey, it's time to load the tile map in a real way, and not from not from a black and white PNG, right? It's time to actually load a level in like a real way from a tile map editor with tiles in it. No, yeah, dog fooding. Like, I think I used dog fooding in the playlist description for this series. And in the like unfinished blog post about why I've made the decisions I've made, I say dog fooding a lot, because I don't know, I've absorbed the Silicon Valley terminology from Jobs. Oh man, I love dungeon mode. Dungeon mode, real talk, like dungeon mode is so good. Sorry to tangent and not read what you actually said about it yet, but dungeon mode is so good. I love it so much. I should make a game with dungeon mode. I mean, CRT shaders are kind of like, I feel like that's kind of part of the art, is that the shader be messy. Like, I've written a couple bad CRT shaders myself, and they're incredibly messy. Because I didn't really do it from first principles. It was just like, oh, I want this and I want that. It's like, I totally get it. And it is kind of the thing of like, oh, this is cool, you should release it. And it's like, your in your mind version of what the thing is probably way cooler than I think it is as the person who made it, right? It's like, you might think you can use it for something, but I wrote it and I know for a fact how bespoke it is and how sharp the edges are, and that if I give it to you, you're going to come back tomorrow and be like, hey, I tried to use it for this and it didn't work, please help me. And I'm going to be like, I don't know, it's a mess. I shouldn't have released it. At the same time, like, some of us can be a little bit too humble, I think, or a little bit too self-conscious about our work. Like, I learned C++ by reading the source code of Frogauto and Friends, this open source platformer game that's kind of like Super Mario World in some of its design choices, but plays very differently. And nowadays it's written in like a custom scripting language, but way back when, in like 2011, it was written in C++, and it was very valuable to me for learning C++. So like, I think even if something is not like perfect, I think there is value and like other people being able to check it out. So like, I don't know, I have mixed feelings about whether or not releasing things is always the right call or not. But yeah, so like, hopefully I can get this game to a good point, and that will be a good proof of Jane. And then also, there's another project, a secret project, it's not that secret, but there's another project that I'm doing with Jane, that this project will depend on, actually. And that one will be an even better proof, because it will be more, it's not a game, it's a utility, and so it will have very different concerns. Yeah, and like, having a no warranties like disclaimer is something, but I don't know, like, we kind of all put them on everything, even if it is even if it's something that you expect to have merchantability for any purpose, like whatever it is, you know, it could be a very serious project and it will still have that on it because it's software and we're all worried. But I don't know. So this is also the player half width. We're doing all this so that we can change these values, and do some potentially yucky stuff here in a minute with our player ducking. Yeah, it's really tough. It's really tough. Like, I made at one point, I think, the only SDL3 binding for the NIM programming language, and I have not maintained it. I think somebody else has made one now, but like, I didn't maintain it because I basically just completely quit that language. No, the whole point of streaming is to get to talk to people, and if sometimes that means I'm absentmindedly running around in the game instead of programming, that's fine. Like, I do great focusing and programming off the stream, right? Like, the whole point of the stream is to get to hang out and have conversations. It's not quite co-working, but I don't know, cool people show up and talk and hang out, and that's nice. That's a nice thing for me right now in my life in the environment that I live in. So, and I don't know, that sounds bad. I have a great environment at home. I love my family very much. I'm very happy with them. Just, I meant more kind of like in the world. But yeah, you're not derailing at all. I'm very happy you're here. Let's see. Okay, now we're down in the camera code, and actually I'm just gonna go ahead and put some markers in this file because, oh my goodness. Mark camera, and then let's see. Mark collision. Do-do-ba-do-ba-do. Yeah, work from home can be hard sometimes. Alright, so we're detecting if we're ducking, which right now is just if the down key is down. So then what we want to do is change the damping, and we want to change, so if you are, if you're ducking, we want you to be able to steer in the air, but not on the ground. We'll do it the Super Mario World way for now. So if, okay, if is on the ground, if is not ducking, or sorry, if not is ducking. Oh dear. Well, there goes my, you know, in the test recording for this, I accidentally said the F word. I was trying to say functions at the very start of the recording, and I had to go bleep it, which I could do because it was recorded. Dang it. So that's, I guess we're up to maybe $10 in the swear jar for this series. I'm doing my best. It was an accident. It doesn't count. That's how it works. So if we're not ducking, we can steer. So if I'm here and I hold down, I can no longer move, but if I'm in the air and holding down, I still can, which is correct. We just don't have a visual for ducking yet. Okay. And for the ducking, we're going to cheese it a little. This is kind of gross, and I'm sorry. But this is what we're gonna do. If is I almost did it again. Phew, I don't know if this is actually allowed inside the designated initializer. Like maybe the parser will be fine, or maybe it will explode. It seems to be okay. So uh-oh, it is not okay. Okay, write that down in the to-do list. If as expression inside a designated initializer does not work correctly. Okay. What if I put parentheses? No. What if I put... Okay, fine. I'll do it the right way. 40, and then what we'll do is we'll say, we'll do this. This is so stupid. If is ducking, player size dot y equals 20. Perfect. Okay, so now we can duck, and we can duck and jump in the like the Mario World fashion. And we can, and we can't steer, so we can do this, right? So in theory, I can like, yeah, and now I'm trapped forever. But I can like, yes. That's what we want to see. See that? That Mario World flavor, that's how you know it's going to be a fun game, is that you can, you can do these cool maneuvers. Yeah, so like, I like the ternary, the way it looks in like Top TypeScript or C, the like question mark and then the colon. But it is freaking weird, right? Like it's weird, it doesn't match anything else in the language, and if you nest them, they look really bad no matter how you format it. Like, I'm sorry. If you just let people use an if or a switch as an expression, it's way more uniform. To me, it makes a lot more sense. I don't know, like some languages do that. Like I think Hex, lets you do that. Moonscript, I want to say, yes, Moonscript lets you do it. Dart, I think, lets you do it. I've not used every language, but I've used a random mishmash. A lot of them will let you just use it as an expression, which I think is nice. And Jane does too, but it's apparently broken in specific cases. Which makes some sense because I haven't really tested that thoroughly on that. Like, I don't know. It's a feature I've tested a couple times when I was using it in anger, and I haven't. It's not as thoroughly tested as it should be. But so now we can duck, and we can duck and slide, and we have some air steering when we're ducking. Feels kind of like I had the feather cape or something, and I can do this number, which is nice and feels pretty good. Okay, so we did ducking. So we could, I mean, it already feels like we don't lessen the friction, but I think maybe that's fine in practice. We could, so it's like you're skating a little bit more, but then it would almost feel like should we make it less friction when you're ducking? Let's try it and see how it feels. Doop 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 boop doop doop. Okay. So damping. We could use the air damping, but that feels like not. Player damping crouch. It's gonna be like, what if we do this? Like half as much, but not quite as low as in the air. Or we could make it like a third less. I don't know. I don't know what I'm doing. So then where do we apply this? If is on ground, so now we'd say if is ducking. We would do this one. Otherwise we'll do the one that's already there. The cool thing about game development is getting to just try things. Oh, that's way too much. Whoop. Yes, list comprehensions are so good. One thing I haven't bothered doing because I don't know if it's worth it is I only know this from Moonscript and Ruby, but the like using if as a line decorator where you can be like do this thing if X, or do this thing unless X. Like I really like unless and until. I need to add those. They're favorites, and it's like you don't really need to have them, but I like them a lot. They're just like nice sugars to not be writing not or bang everywhere. Usually in my C code bases I have a macro to do unless and until, which is arguably bad for readability for anyone else that comes to my code base, but you know, whatever. So we'll call this friction, even though it's not really friction. And okay, let's see. Well, it's great because you can be like, you know, JK unless, right? Yeah, it does. Unless does feel kind of like a like I feel like you need a cursive programming font to use unless. So that feels like way mega too much slide, too permissive. It feels like ice. So let's go up here and just make it match the regular friction. When you say expression assignments, do you just mean like, you know, x equals like y plus 3 or something? assignment expressions. Do you mean the C thing where like you have like while something equals something else? Like having assignment return a value? Is that what you mean? Because I lean no on that. There are a couple constructions that look like that currently. So like up here, this if let tiles. This is a specific thing for pointers, where tiles is a pointer that's nullable. So in this specific case, we're saying, hey, if tiles is non-null, it's like if those tiles exist, then do all this stuff with the tiles. That's, I think it's kind of the only case, and I don't really know. I don't know if I could justify like the effort to like have any other kind. I don't know. I only use it for optionals. So like if I come over here, like this is a pointer to U8, which can be null, which is what the question mark is for. And then what happens is it's kind of like TypeScript is the goal. So whenever you do this, sorry, my eye was itching. Whenever you do this, it narrows the type inside the block to a non-nullable pointer, so you don't get any warnings for not checking it. Oh, interesting. I haven't kept up with Python in a while. I used it quite a bit in college, and I'll occasionally use it for scripts or something, but usually it's not what I reach for first. Alright. That feels pretty good. This is something we haven't done yet. So we did the ducking. We could do... Oh, weird. Interesting. That's pretty cool. I think currently, like, I do kind of like how sugary it is to have that. At the same time, I feel like it's asking for trouble. You have to have kind of a different... Like, if your language has equals equals, you either need to detect it as, like, you have to have some way to say, I did this on purpose, right? And I haven't really given that much thought of, like, a good way to do that. So for me, I'm usually doing, like, you know, while true, and then if not thingy break is, like, usually what I'm doing. But if it ends up being, like, a lot of friction at some point, I could see that changing. Alright, so we've got the ducking, and we've got pretty decent behavior with the ducking. It feels like ducking with the feather cape or something in Mario World, and you can do this like you can do in Mario World. You can't really build up momentum the same way you can in that game, but that's fine. We're just playing around. Yeah, having a separate operator to say I did this on purpose is good, I think. Let's see. So this is something they do in Mario World, which is like if you crouch and go into a narrow space and then you uncrouch, so like if I do that, I'll just get stuck, right? I'll just be totally stuck until I crouch again, which is fine. But in Mario World, if you did this, it would push you back to the left, I think. It might push you to the right if the gap is closer on the right. I don't actually know how the rule works in that game, but it would push you somewhere. And so I think, and it's kind of useful from a design standpoint, because it's like, well, let's say you have some narrow tunnel with a goodie treasure at the end, right? A power-up or something, or a coin. Then it's like, well, if you are a big character, then you have to do this crouch dance to like get in there, right? And maybe it's like kind of skillful or something, and so it's like, well, if you unduck, then you lose your progress, you start getting scooted back out. So it's like, if you're not the small character, you really got to work for this by doing this situation, right? It's not like a big deal, I guess, but it does add a little bit of fun. Oh, so it's interesting. Yeah, in Mario World, which granted, I've mostly played the Game Boy Advance version. It might be different on SNES, but on the Game Boy Advance, if you're in a tight space like this and you uncrouch, it will allow you to do it, but then it will start pushing you to the left or right until you're no longer like head in ceiling, which I kind of like. I think it's kind of a fun solution to that problem. Because they could just not let you uncrouch, right? A lot of games don't. But I kind of I almost said something that's really disrespectful to a dead person. Oh boy. You can't certain cave in North America yourself because like let's say that somebody finds this part really hard to do, or they're like a kid playing and they get stuck like this. They might not know or be able to get back out, right? And so what it means is if I get stuck and like if I get stuck in here, I can always get to safety by just uncrouching. Like it will push me out. So like if I can't pull this off, then I can just uncrouch and I'll be safe, right? I won't be stuck and think I need to reset my console or something, right? So I think it's valuable for that reason too. So we might try to do that. So let's have a helper for this where it's like probe find nearest open tile on X or something like that. And we'll take our runtime and we'll have, can you recrouch while you're being pushed out? I don't know. That's a good question. I wish I had my GBA in my hand. I'd check. That's a good question. Huh. I don't know if you can, because I feel like I've had times where like, oh man, my thumb slipped off the D-pad and now I have to start over. So maybe you can't recrouch. I don't actually remember. I'd have to check. That's a good question though. Maybe we need a result for this. So struct probe result. We'll call it tile probe result. And we'll have succeeded, and then we'll have not int. We don't have ints. Then we'll do that. So then we'll have tile X and tile Y, and those will both be int32s, and this will return a tile probe result. And can I get away with this in the current parser? Maybe. Return result, and we'll say tile probe result. Actually, we'll say let tile probe result. Sorry, we'll say let result equals tile probe result. And so now we'll actually go do the actual thing. So so what we want to do is go from the current tile and then check the left and right and then go out some distance, right? And find the nearest free tile above the player, or like where the player's head would be, right? So we'll have nearest left, which is going to be, let's just say 0. And then we'll have nearest right, which is going to be like, sure. We're never going to have a tile map that's 1,000,000 tiles wide. It's as close to infinity as we're going to bother getting. So then what we'll do is, and I mean, you could probably be cleverer than this, right? We could just iterate from the actual probe tile, but actually we can still do that with this. Okay. Or we could just say -1 for both of these. We don't need to get fancy. Blah, 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 blah. So we'll have the nearest left, my mouse disconnected, dist, and we'll have nearest right, dist, and then both of these will just set to be like a million. Who cares, right? We're not going to have any tile maps that are this size, even in the final game. So we'll do that, and then we'll say nearest left. These will be -1. And so then we'll say, so then we need to actually go find the nearest one, and then it's like we could start at the tile and like walk left, right? And then the first one we hit is automatically the nearest. So we don't actually need any special sauce. And then we need to walk right and find the nearest. Which we could also, if we detected the first frame that the player was like wedged in, then we could know which direction they were coming from. And oh wow, that's crazy. Wow. So we'll say while tile X is greater than 0, and sorry, we'll do this. We'll do tile it X is going to be tile X, tile it Y doesn't need to change, our Y is not going to change. Okay. So we'll say while tile it X is greater than or equal to 0, if not is tile solid. Oh, we need to move this down. Boop, boop, ba doop, doop. Okay. If we're not solid at that spot, then ba-ba, 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 ba-ba. If it's not solid, then first of all we're going to break, and we're going to say nearest left. We're going to say tile it X minus equals 1. Nearest left equals tile it X, and nearest left dist is going to be tile X minus tile it X, right? And then we'll do the same thing on the right side. Whoop. Go find the nearest one on the right side. 2019 feels like it's not that long ago, and then I think about it and I get sad. So then we'll do the same deal going to the right. Is less than or equal to, I don't know. Level height, or sorry, level width. And not equal. Okay. And this will be plus equals 1. And this will be, instead of left, this will be the right. And these will go in the opposite direction. Okay, so then what we'll do is if we found both, so we'll say if nearest left doesn't equal -1 and nearest right doesn't equal -1. We found both of them. We need to compare the distances. So then we'll say result succeeded equals true, and we'll say result tile Y equals tile Y. The reason I put the tile Y there is like we could use this probe for other functions later. It doesn't really matter for this one though. And then we'll say result tile X is going to be the nearest, or well, we'll say if dist. What the heck is it called? Nearest left dist. Is less than nearest right dist. What? Oh, fine. Sometimes the autocomplete falls down in situations where I'm not sure why it falls down. Then we'll do nearest left, otherwise we'll do nearest right. And that needs a semicolon because I'm silly. Okay. I think that's all right. Right? Yes? Okay. And then we'll say else if nearest left doesn't equal -1, then we'll do the same deal, but we don't need to compare anymore. So it'll just be the nearest left in that case. And then similarly, we'll just do the same deal for the right side. Nearest right. And then otherwise, we're just not having a good time. And right. This is not C. Okay, so now I think that should work. I suppose so. So the compiler is currently written in C, and it's probably going to be in C for a long time because getting to a point where you could self-host it would take a lot, like a lot of maturity, right? I think if it was, I don't know, if you were making a really tiny thing, maybe it wouldn't take you that long to be able to self-host. I don't know. But for me, it'll probably take a long time. I would like to self-host eventually because part of my motivation here is to get away from a lot of things permanently if I can. So Jane is currently written in C, right? But if I had my druthers long term, Jane would be written in Jane, and I would never have to invoke LLVM. I would never have to invoke LDD. I would never have to invoke LLDB or Microsoft C compiler or anyone else's again. That would make me the happiest, actually. Like if the only time I used a mainstream, several million lines of code compiler was to compile SDL3, I would be very happy. So Jane is not self-hosted right now. God willing, it will be eventually, and then I will feel some peace of mind about my programming life. That is the end goal, but it feels quite far away right now. Hopefully by dogfooding the language with this game and a huge production grade tool and some other projects, hopefully I can get it to a point where it's solid and then I could attempt to self-host. But right now I imagine it would just be very hard to make any headway on that because it would be so much work. Sorry. Okay, look. You're not going to get me ranting, but I will say I don't think any piece of software has any business being 2 million lines of code or 9 million lines of code or 15 million lines of code. I think that is hateful. I think there's a lot of research and good human work that has gone into that compiler and all the other big ones. And I don't want to discount that at all. They do a lot of cool stuff. There's a lot of great warnings and optimizations, and they have all these backends for all these architectures. I understand some of the scale, but as an end user, if you care at all about having agency over what you're using, anything over 1 million lines of code might as well be a black box to you. It does not matter how open source it is if it's 1 million lines of code. And all of these projects take AI generated contributions now, as far as I know. They try to vet them. The effect that that sort of thing has on people long term is that they vet things less, and I already wasn't happy with how things go. You know what I mean? I already was not happy with the big corporations and how they influence open source and how they interact with the community. I was already not happy with compiler vendors and operating system vendors and all of this stuff. And so recent trends pushed me over the edge, and I want off of this stuff as soon as possible. And like, I'm on an Apple computer right now. I have a Linux laptop. Eventually, when Jane is self-hosted, because I stupidly, it's stupidly written in C for Mac OS. But later, when it is hopefully self-hosted, then I can just live happily on an x64 Linux machine and ignore a lot of things for a while. I hope. We'll see. And aside from other things, like, aside from the stuff I already said, it's also just like, you know, LLVM is a pretty fast C compiler, right? But it is this massive piece of infrastructure. So when I compile like 50,000 lines of C code for WYSIWYG, it takes 2 or 3 seconds, which is not much time at all, but almost all of that time is the compiler starting up because it's this ginormous machine, right? Jane is teeny weeny, right? Jane is like less than 50,000 lines of code so far for the entire compiler, and it compiles this little game, which has very little source code, to be fair, right? But it compiles this little game in like, you know, maybe 50 milliseconds. Like, there, it compiled it. You know what I mean? Like, compiled. It's the good parts that I have had with C over the years, and I'm trying to get rid of the bad parts that are just like these huge cancerous, like, there's a ton of value in LLVM, there's a ton of value in things like VS Code, but there's a lot of stuff that I don't like, and there's a lot of stuff that I think is negative long term. And that's what my Linux laptop is running. Fedora too. I like Fedora a lot. I haven't updated it in forever. I think it's like Fedora 41 or something. I think that's still current. I don't know. Yeah, it's hard to live happily in FOSS land because a lot of problems are in FOSS land. And I feel like as time goes on, the problems in FOSS land look a lot more like the problems in enterprise land, because all the enterprise stuff is now just using the FOSS stuff anyway, and all the incentive structures are there, but none of the money on the FOSS side. I don't know. There's a lot of problems in software. Sorry for the huge rant, geez. Okay, this is probably wrong, and it will probably do something stupid when I run it and crash the game. So let's do it. And actually, let me just, I don't like how this is formatted. Yes, I'm wasting time formatting things. Okay. Sweet. Alright, I keep glancing at OBS to make sure the stream hasn't, or rather the capture hasn't frozen, because that keeps happening to me. And it seems to happen maybe when the screensaver turns on, so it's probably fine. Yeah, Windows 11 is particularly bad, and Windows 10 isn't great either. I have one Windows 10 machine, and it's there to run builds and test things on Windows, because you have to. But beyond that, I'm like not interested at all. When I bought my Linux laptop, it was Windows 11, and then my experience was so poor that I put Fedora on it. So, I understand. Where are we doing the ducking crap? What were we gonna do? So it's if we're not ducking and our head is in a thing. Right. So currently I'm just on YouTube. I feel like a lot of viewership is on Twitch, and so maybe I should stream on Twitch if I want people to see these, but I don't know how to do both well. I know there's tools for that. I'm not an expert, and I'm kind of scared of trying to manage 2 chats And I'm not really like part of Twitch culture, I guess. I don't get all their, 15-year-old emotes or what they're supposed to mean and things like this. And YouTube is like, well, I can just have the VOD indefinitely and just put it in a playlist. So it just seemed like a natural fit. Maybe I should be on Twitch? I don't know. I don't know enough to decide. Yeah, like, there are still distros and hardware where you'd have audio problems or whatever, right? But I do feel like there are a lot more people today who could be comfortable on a lot more distros than they could have 10 or 20 years ago for sure. Okay, so steering, air stuff, jump stuff, friction stuff, gravity, collision. Okay, that's something we could do. We could say, how do we want to do this? So we could just we just do this. Mark head stuck. I don't know what else to say. Head stuck and wall is going to be, and it's going to be that, and it's going to be the position, and it's going to be, actually we should do the whole sweep there, but which we could do, I guess. Audio production people. Yeah, it's audio stuff is always rough. I can't imagine trying to do like music work on Arch Linux. That sounds crazy. I just can't imagine, like, getting music stuff to work on Mac or Windows is already kind of a pain. Like, it's already a big harangue where you're like, oh man, let me go get the special driver for my keyboard, and let me go get, like, jump through all these hoops, and I sure hope there's not a hardware dongle involved at any point, or you're never going to get it to work. So we're going to do the same deal as this, but without the actual motion part. So we're just going to get this part of it to check if our head is stuck. And so we don't actually need the steps is the trick. And this will just be the player height. So that's the top of our head, which maybe we don't want to get the total top of the head. Maybe we want to get, like, anything above our midsection or something instead of the whole top of the head. I don't know. It's probably fine. So we'll get our check edge, and then we'll do this, and then we'll do that. That part's all the same. And then that part's all the same. And then we do this, and then we'll have bool head stuck equals false. And then here we'll say head stuck equals true. And then instead of this, it'll be head stuck. Right? Although we don't actually need one there because we're not in a loop. Okay, great. So then we'll say if our head is stuck, then yeah, there's like some cool people on Twitch and stuff. I just feel kind of alien over there. Granted, I feel alien here too, but I feel less alien, I guess. It just feels more like the kind of place somebody would stream programming. Like, I don't have purple mood lighting or a face cam. I'm not yelling. Maybe I'm being uncharitable. I don't know. I'm not a high energy, high octane entertainer with high production values. I have a code, and I have a window with some rectangles in it, and me talky good. So we need to do our probe, right? So we're gonna do our let probe equals, and we'll do our probe thingy, and we'll do, I cannot see my autocomplete. And we'll do the probe, where actually maybe we should do that up here. We'll do it up here, that way we can, and we'll say nudge the player. So we'll do the probe, we'll do the tile X, and we'll do the tile Y, and then if probe succeeded, not sure why my autocomplete isn't working for that, but whatever. Yeah, PNG tuber. So I still have her. I feel like I like that character, but she doesn't really remind me enough of myself to like fit long term. Maybe I could do a redesign, like make her fat or something. I don't know. Try to make the vibe match a little bit more. I do like the core design though. I do still have that PNG tuber like lying around somewhere. I just didn't dig it out for this. I didn't, and it's also like I'm just using like regular OBS. I'm not using Streamlabs, and that PNG tuber is just like a C program with a green screen and OBS. It's like a Mac OS window capture, and so you have to launch the VTuber and then go in OBS and like start the capture and then pick the window from a list every single time. And I just didn't want to bother. If I knew how to set it up in like an automated magical way with OBS, then I would want to use it more, and maybe I could go tweak the character a little bit or something. But yeah, I did have that for Silk Song, and I do kind of miss it because it adds a little bit of expressivity. Not as much as having a camera would, but it adds some, and like, you know, she can type and she can use a controller, and she actually, I don't think this has ever been shown, she detects MIDI input. So if I have a keytar, if I have a MIDI controller plugged up to my machine, and because I thought, well, maybe I'll work on game music on some streams. If I do any music notes, she actually plays them, which is fun, but I didn't get to use that for anything yet. But yeah, I'm already like, setting up the stream at all felt kind of overwhelming because I haven't streamed code in such a long time that I was like, maybe I'll do that later, but I don't know. I do kind of miss the VTuber. I could set up a VTuber. Any hootie, let's see. Then we'll say we're going to nudge the player. So we'll say and we'll do, well, actually it doesn't really matter where the tile is. What matters is the direction. So say nudge dir is going to be tile X minus, or no, it'll be the destination tile. So it'll be probe tile X minus tile X, and then we'll cast that to an F32. Oh no, actually, do we have sign? What is it called? Like thugn? No. Okay. So we'll have I32 delta, let's say, or we'll call I32 to open tile, and we'll have that, and there's a complaint happening. What do you mean? Oh, well, what's the problem? I know it's unused. What are you complaining about? Oh, because it'll be a function pointer. That's my bad. I need to think about precedents for stuff like that. Will this work then? No. Okay, what? Brother. No, it is called tile probe result. Okay, well. Fooey on Yui. Is that No, yeah, we're recompiling. It's the LSP that is confused. Oh, that's cool. A Godot overlay. That's nice. Like Godot can do transparent windows because I was looking at it for doing like desktop pets the other day, and it was seemed pretty good for it. Okay, so then it's gonna be if to open tile is less than 0, -1.0. Else, this is a little bit silly and contrived. It will have to be fixed up later. I don't know, let's do like 20. It's more than the player do. It's not doing anything. Rats. Okay, so let's say head stuck. Okay, so we're not detecting that the head is stuck. Okay. Wait a minute. Aha, there is a something. What? Unsupported? Okay, yep, I've been bitten. What? Come on, what? Okay, so I can't, okay. If as expression does not work correctly with floating point numbers. Actually, it'd be really funny if it was the if it was the unary negate. That would be really, really funny. Okay, so we're going to work around this. For now. What are you on about, child? Oh, right. Duh. There is no step here. Head stuck. We are not being nudged, but boy, head sure stuck. Okay. Right, because the collision would get in the way. Okay, right. I got you. So what you want to do instead is... and then what velocity do we want here? Let's just call it like, I don't know, 20 pixels a second. Let's try that and see how it feels. It doesn't feel like anything, I guess. There we go. And we got nudged out. Cool. I don't think that is like robust to every, because what you'd want is if you hit a tile on X, you'd still care about that, right? So we need to make it a little bit fancier than it is, but... Oh, so it's looking in both directions and finding the nearest open tile. So if I get a little bit here, it'll put me to the left, and then if I come over here and get like a little bit, dang it. If I get a little bit in there, it'll push me to the right. I can show you. So in this probe function, so it's very naive. So I just go to the left and look for an open tile, and then I go to the right and look for an open tile, and then I compare. If I got both, I compare which one is closer. Like if I found an open tile for your head in both directions, then I'll find the closest one to push you in. Otherwise, if only one side worked, like you're going into a corner or something, then I'll just push you toward the side that worked. So we kind of got the thing where it'll push you out of a gap. The problem is if we did something like this, if we did something like that, I think it would just break it. So like this tile is open for my head, but this tile is not open for my feet. But I think if I was close enough, it would push me the wrong direction. Yeah, see? And now I'm totally trapped. Right? Just totally trapped. Although now it'll push me to the right to free my head when I'm shorter, which is really funny. Yeah, it's just probing the tile map. So I just like give it the player's like the top of her head, and it just, yeah. So this is incorrect. So we need to actually, what we need to do is move the nudging up before we do the regular collision. And we need to change, yes, if there was an enemy, it would push you towards it. So this game was like a blank window before the test recording, so we actually don't have any enemies yet. And the tile map is just this black and white PNG for now. So it's really great. Really great setup. But yeah, if there was an enemy, it would totally push you into it, like a little spiny thing or something. It would push you into it for sure. So let's go and fix the this problem. A raycast sort of solution. To be safe. What do you mean? You mean like as in not push you into an enemy? You could do, so like once there are enemies, I'll probably bucket them on grids, so like you'd be able to say which entities overlap this tile and have that be cheap. I usually do have raycasts in my tile-based games just because you can make them fairly cheap, so like there probably would be one that you could run to be like, hey, is this path actually clear? But currently we don't have anything like that in the game. My stretch goal for if we get really far is to start thinking about the entity system. But it's already been like a couple hours, so whenever I finish up with this, that might be it for tonight, but I don't know, I'm having a lot of fun. Like, not too bad for a couple sessions, from just like blank window to this, but let's see. So let's go to the nudging, and we'll do the head stuck logic sooner. We don't need that anymore. We're going to move our head stuck, and we're going to move it up here, and yeah, we're going to move it way up here actually. Motion. So move it up here. If you have objects that are not part of the tile map or not always obstructions, such as a moving platform, a door that can open or close, you got to take that into account when checking if there's room. Yes, that is correct. So like if you had something like you say, like if there was a moving platform, that's kind of like a solid, right? And I would need to, yeah, I would need to account for it. Typically, like what you end up with, right, is you have some function to be like, get me the like tile stuff in this area, and get me all of the entity stuff in this area. At least I do. I do separate it like that usually. So it'd be like, get me a list of all the tiles in this like spot I'm checking. Get me a list of all the entities in this spot I'm checking. And usually if I have a pathfinding system, it will account for things like entities being in the way. What it'll basically do, like the way it works in WYSIWAG, is all of the tiles get considered for the pathfinding, but then also every entity that has a certain flag on its collider gets baked into that as well. And so then if you do something like destroy a bush or pick up the bush, then I have to rebuild the pathfinding to account for the bush being gone, right? But the pathfinding rebuilds so quickly in that game that it doesn't really matter to do that. Like if you lift a pot, it changes the pathfinding. If you move a bush, it changes the pathfinding. certain enemies can change the pathfinding, etc. But yeah, you're right, it is something we'll have to consider soon. So we get our head stuck, right? And I think this should still detect pretty much the same. Yeah. And then the trick will be, we need to actually account for, so, okay, so we'll have head stuck resolve is going to be 0. And so then what we'll do here is we'll do this. Okay. Yeah, exactly. Like running A star on like a low res game with like tile based rooms is so fast. And depending on what assumptions you can make, you can get it absurdly fast. So like in WYSIWYG, the pathfinding I do is visibility graph based. So I kind of like, even though the game is tile based, I go and like I do like greedy rects where I'll bunch up as many tiles as I can into one rectangle, and then once I have all these rectangles, I build a visibility graph. So my A star graph I end up with is actually way smaller in terms of nodes than the tile map has tiles. So like in a pathological case, you'd have like a checkerboard with some holes in it that would make a ton of nodes, but it still would be a lot less nodes than the tiles themselves. And in typical cases, you've got like a room with walls around it or something. And so my pathfinding, like my actual pathfinding graph might have like 5 nodes, 10 nodes, 20 nodes. Like it's always a tiny number for typical maps. So just like the actual pathfinding is basically free, running the A star is basically free, because it's just like, well, what nodes can you see, and then how far away are they from you, and then that's just like part of the cost. And it's just super duper cheap. There's like the raycast to check visibility, and then that's probably more expensive than the pathfinding usually is. Okay, so the head is stuck. We set this resolution, so now if I duck, nothing happens because we're not actually moving anything. And then what we'll do down here is, so I'll have that. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. So it's like you need to be able to ignore the head collision but still do the body collision, which is kind of stupid. It's like you almost want to split the player into like 2 pieces that you're considering. Actually, you know what? I take it all back. I'm going to take this guy and move it back down below this because I have a simpler solution in mind. Move it way back down here. And we'll keep it above the round actually. So we'll move it back down here, right? And what we're going to do is a very simple maneuver. We're going to make the head probe unique. So we're going to say probe for stuck head. And now what we're going to do, yeah, exactly, like that's the other thing too, is like if you're making a pixel game on like modern computers, you have so much headroom for like anything that you'd want to do. Right, exactly, you are correct. So I'm changing the probe to also check in both axes, like a place where both would be free. So like I naively was only checking the head, when actually I need to run a whole collision check on both axes, which is kind of a bummer. And we could kind of cheese that for time, so we could say Instead of doing it properly, we could also just check like the tile beneath this, right? So we could make this a compound condition. So we'd have like head free, right, is this. And later we would need to change this. So I'm gonna write this down. Fix me. Actually iterate over the tiles that you need to in case we have a funny sized player or animal companion, etc. And then we'll do body free, which is going to be like the same thing. Foot free +1. If head free and body free, yeah, that's true, you're right. Although we could allow pushing in both directions, but yeah, you're right, as soon as you find a blocked foot, that should be the end of it. So we could do this and then we could say if not foot free, break or something like that. Something like that. So we could early out and keep it, yeah, smart. So there's that, and then on the other side, we would say, we do the same deal on the other side here. So we'll have the same exact checks going in the other direction, and then we'll do the same exact thing here. And then we'll say if head free, then we do all of that stuff. Okay, so let's go get wedged in there again. And it should, whoop, well, if I could get stuck again, come on. Whoop. No, well that's not good. Oh, what? Okay, we've made a mistake. Whoop. What the heck? What? Excuse me. Oh, because the foot will be... I think the foot will be inside the well, no, because we're not checking the literal foot. We're just checking that the tile is free. Oh, but the head... Well, no, because it's a partial. So, like... Hang on. Is the early out screwing me here? What the heck? Well, it seems to think no direction is valid some of the time, but then other times it's like pushing me, which is odd. It should be nudging me here, but it isn't. Whoop. My head is definitely stuck. Okay, what if I ditch the foot thing? Will it work like it did before? Because if that's not the case, then I've made a different mistake. No. Okay, I think I might have made a different mistake. Oh, is it because I moved this up above? Hang on. Let me put some of this back. Okay. Is it because I put this up above the actual position rounding, and it wasn't before. This is why you only change one thing at a time. Maybe not. What the heck? Maybe I should have quit while I was ahead, so to speak. Yeah, I've just like totally borked it. What the heck? Oh, we're not actually applying this anywhere, are we? That might be why. Well, then what was happening on the occasions where I was being nudged? Excuse me. Okay. Ay, ay, ay. Alright. I changed too many things at once. So I have partial LLDB support. It's not amazing. Alright, so I actually haven't messed with the watch window at all. I can examine locals, so like I could set a variable and like a breakpoint that works. But mostly my version of watching so far has been either logging things or doing like a or like doing like an SDL debug to that shouldn't happen. That should not be possible. Right, because you could just randomly unduck, and so if you randomly unduck, it should try to move you down, maybe? So if there's room below you and your head is stuck, it should just push you down until you're no longer stuck, right? So if your head is stuck, then left or right. So try to move the player down first. So then you might do something like while not solid, what the heck is it? Oh, excuse me. I need to just like go make the actual collision so that this isn't so hacky and Mario Worldy, but that's okay. But yeah, most of my watching has been either like SDL debug text or like, you know, I've drawn the inputs as this funny HUD of boxes and things like that. And I'm not running an LLDB. I could attach it, but it's not amazing support at the current stage. So it'd say while not blah blah blah. Are we really gonna have another silly? Because what you'd really want here is like iterate. You want to like iterate over the whole foot. See if you can move down, and then move the player down. Right, like that's what you would want. So it's like you'd really just want to have a convenient helper where it's like check an AABB or something. Is solid check AABB, and you'd want to have like this, and then you'd want to have like do I even have a rect in this silly thing? I don't think I do, so we'll just do this. We'll do that. Really, you'd want to get what the penetration was and everything. We're not going to do that right now. And we're going to assumes a rect smaller than 3 tiles across. And the reason for that is we're just going to check 4 pixels. All right. It's getting a little bit late for me too. You have a good night, Did It Goblin. Thanks for dropping by. I appreciate all the conversation. Good to see ya. Thanks, I appreciate that. I'm thinking I'm going to try to stream Monday, Wednesday, Friday nights at 6 p.m. Eastern. I'm not dead set on that. We'll see if it happens. But thanks. Have a good one. Alright, it is getting quite late. We've been at it for 3 hours. Oh my gosh. We've hit it for 3 hours, and we're at this like annoying thing that's kind of time consuming, and we need to think about to solve well. But for now, what we're going to do is just, if your head is stuck and your foot is not stuck, which we could do something just like naively, oh hey, check the middle of the foot or whatever, and if it's clear, you're fine. But, okay, skip this for now. We're going to do a cool thing called check both sides of the player's feet and call it a day. At least for right now, for this stream. So if the head is stuck, so we'll say while, so we'll do bool, now wait, okay, so we'll do while true, don't save, feet, left foot free is gonna be solid at, uh-oh. Is it pixel? I think it's pixel. We've lost our autocomplete. And that'll be gem pause x minus player half width, right? And then right foot free. And then for the Y, what we're going to do on both of these is it's going to be, well, it's going to be we're going to see if left foot free and right foot free yeah, seriously. Oh, we've got a compile error. We done goofed it somewhere. Where did we done goof it? Right, what is it called? Is solid at pixel. Ooh. The abbreviation got me. We're still not compiling though. Right. Okay. Now, I'm gonna spend our time formatting code because that is what all the cool, hip programmers do, is they spend all of their time formatting code. If you didn't know that, it's okay. And it didn't work. Shoot. Alright, this should be not. I'm very smart. Okay, and now we can't get stuck. And it's kind of hacky, but it works. I need to test this scenario in Mario World and see what they do. It does, you do get nudged a little. Okay, so maybe we should detect if we freed you somehow. So maybe we could redo this. Recheck if the head is stuck. Ba-dum, da-dum, da-dum, da-dum. Ba-da. Okay. So, bool. Oh wait, there's the head stuck, and then there's also, we could have head stuck at tile or something, like head stuck tile X, right? And then what we would do, we don't even need to initialize that, it can be 0, it's fine. So what we would do is we would say head stuck tile X is going to be tile X, right? And so then what we can do is we can move this out of the loop, right? Where we can say if head stuck, then we'll do this. And so then down here what we could do, we could do this like per frame. This might be a little bit hacky, but and then here we would say if not push down, then we would do this nudging situation. This code is messy, the way code written on stream, the way only code written on stream can be. So that works okay. And then if we get closer to the other side, we still get pushed the right direction. And then here, if we go whoop, we don't get nudged. We get nudged a tiny bit, surprisingly. Maybe that's fine. Not too shabby. Wow, we've been doing this for a while. Okay. Not so bad. Alright, so today we have done lots of things, actually. We did Coyote time, we did buffered jumps, so you can have frame perfect jumps easier. We did, what else did we do? We did ducking. We did Mario World unstuckificating, if you do this. We did ducking and sliding. We made the camera a little bit nicer, a little bit fancier, made it feel a little more natural. We fixed the collision that used to only check magic pixels for the general player collision. It now checks the whole bounding box. It would be good to make the jump velocity depend on your run velocity. We missed that one today. We could have done that today. My bad. So we did this. Let's see. We kind of punted on this one. So for next time, we have make jump strength partially or proportional to the run speed. Add a run button. And what else should we do next time? Let's see. Ba-dum. What else could we do? There's something else on my mind and I totally lost it. Crap. Also, before next stream, clean up my messy code from this stream. Fix some of the things I encountered. Let's see. What else should we do? There's something on my mind and I totally lost what it was. Well, in any case, thanks folks for hanging out with me. This has been really fun. It's been about 3 hours and 16 minutes according to OBS. I waited about 16 minutes to start the stream, so 3 solid hours. We did a bunch of fun stuff today. I had some fun conversations. I really appreciate everybody who stopped by and everybody who talked to me. Thanks for hanging out. I suppose I'll see you again Monday night, 6 p.m. Eastern, and we'll do some more stuff. By the time I see you again, the list of things to do will probably be much longer because that's what happened this time. But yeah, I appreciate it a lot. See you on the next one. Bye.